You should subscribe to the Monaresclub. Because the Principal of Saiyans told you to, idiot. Bye.
What's good, guys? This is James. I'm bringing you a top 16 breakdown for the Pro Play Tour Miami regional that just took place today. They just posted the deck lists. It's like 3 in the morning PST. My wife and I just got done transferring a whole bunch of them from PDFs to Shenron's Lair so that I could do this for you guys as soon as possible. Yeah, let's get right into it. So you can see the top 16 breakdown here. We had 5 Dark Broly, which was the most represented deck in the room. Then we have in the top 16, that is, 4 Mecha Frieza, and then a bunch of 1-ofs, a Clash Coup, Gohan Reboot, Red Broly, Launch. It says blue-red launch, but it's really a green-red launch. They lied to us here. Sin Shenron, a Turles, and an Invoker, with the finals being Invoker and Turles against each other, which is pretty surprising, especially considering if you look at how the pie actually breaks down here. So I'm just going to go over all the deck lists individually, just kind of give them a once-over and give my kind of brief thoughts on each of them. So yeah, so this is the winner's deck list here. Michael Carrick, congratulations to him. He took it down with Invoker, which is a deck that has definitely been popping in and out of the last couple of formats. It's gotten some tops, it's gotten a couple of wins, but it's never been heavily represented in any top cut, and I feel like this is always going to be one of those decks that's it's really kind of in the hands of the masters, that if they play it really well, they're going to get really good results, and the results speak for themselves. But if you're kind of a lower tier Invoker player, or you're just getting started on the archetype, you haven't quite gotten to that mastery of it, it's gonna look like a lot worse of a deck. And that's definitely the case here. You can see the deck list here. They only have 3 of the Vegeta 3-drop Invoker, which is something we've started to see a little bit more frequently in the last couple of tournaments. Actually, I started to see this as more of a 3 of rather than a 4 of, which I'm not an Invoker player myself, but it seems like the Invoker squad as a whole have started to go off of him a little bit. They've kind of figured out how to play without him a little more. You can also see they have a lot fewer cards that really require the Invoker mechanic, just leaning a lot heavier on these 1-cost negates like Dimension Magic and Violent Rays. So that would be my guess as to why they only have 3 of these. You can see the sideboard. The sideboard's very interesting, actually. They have 4 Unending Awakening, 2 Absolute Release Ball, and 2 Beerus Ball, and this Beerus Ball is actually what ended up taking the win home for them. These all have very good cards. It's very this is definitely built as kind of an anti-aggro version of the deck, with so many cheap negates, not even worrying with like Topo or anything, because Violent Rays is taking care of a lot of that same kind of situation as Topo would in any case, because all the creatures are so big in this format. So yeah, congrats to Michael Carrick for taking that. I will say we just kind of transcribed all of these deck lists off of the PDF that PPG posted. So if we got any names wrong, or any of the deck lists slightly wrong, I'm sorry. We just did the best we could. We were just kind of rushing so we could get this video put together for you guys. Then Marcel Russell was second. He fell to Invoker in the finals, playing Turles, and this is a really sweet list, honestly. He's playing a lot of the Turles archetype, which is not something I really expected. I expected Turles to do better in the metagame as a slower, more mid-rangey kind of green good stuff deck, which this deck definitely still has a lot of if you take a look at it here. It's got like your Dormants, it's got your Friezas, and it's got your Demigra Unison, which is really good against like Red Broly, for instance, because it can help you break their chain a lot faster, a lot earlier, because you can get Charismatic Villain online quicker. But it does also play all of these dudes that cheat into play, except for Almond, who's a little bit situational. But the free value from these must have, it's just really good. And, getting to play this, like, Turtles Arrival, that you get, effectively, it's an Arrival that, you can get free value going, and then you get the free Fruit of the Tree of Might every turn. It's, it's really nice. And this is just like a super Champa for any of your Turtles, your leader or your battle card here. And then his Supreme Kai of Space-Time as his secret rare of choice, and this is a really good one, honestly. You could also potentially you can't play Cell Xeno, obviously, because of the permanent on the Turtles, but you could play like Great Ape Bardock or the Boo secret, but looks like Marcel opted for Supreme Kai of Space-Time, and it seems to like it's worked out for him. The side deck is mostly looks like it's geared towards switching to a lot more of a mid-range strategy. lots more stuff to interact with the drop area. So if you're in like a hand control kind of mirror, you can kind of bring in these cards, or you're against a deck that you're planning to go a lot slower against. You need like some beefier threats. You could bring in like the Dark Broly and stuff, and that all makes sense to me. Fu's a really good anti-Dark Broly tech, which obviously paid off bringing that in with the 5 Dark Brolys in the room, and then also Dark Power Black Messian as your general catch-all for the greater good, and is for Invoker, and same with Artificial Impact, I assume. Although it looks like these cards didn't quite help him to clinch the tournament, unfortunately. Alright, now we have Dillon Warren with Sin Shenron. It's got top 4. And this is a really interesting build to me. He's not playing any of the Haze Shenron line, like, at all. Not even, like, the 3 cost to cheat in off of Nova to go and get evolved into this. So that's pretty cool. He's also notably not playing any Mechikabura in the main deck. The only Unison he's playing in the main deck is Vegeta Unison of Might. So he's really asking his opponent to awaken him. Which is fine, obviously, in this format. You're getting attacked a lot, so it seems like he's just kind of daring his opponent to get him to Awakening, or if they're not going to awaken you, like, they're just never going to kill you, like that, and that makes sense to me. So you got the Fu, obviously. This is the anti-Dark Broly tech, as we talked about, because it makes it so... because none of the Dark Broly cards themselves have combo power. They have to use the Activate Battle on the leader. And the thing with that is a skill that they have to activate, so every single time they want to do that, they have to then warp a card. So if they ever want to combo with one of their battle cards, they have to warp a card on top of it. The Fu's obviously just really good in any slow mirror, like, Sin Shenron mirror, or just anything that's really slow. Restrain for Invoker. All of these drop negates are going to be for Invoker, first and foremost, just because it lets you not get Victory Striked, because they can't just rip them from your hand, and then you don't have a negate up for the Victory Strike. A couple of Super Namekian Mites is some extra negates, and it helps you against some of the more wider strategies. It's kind of like a petrification for yellow. Max Power Kamehameha, obviously good against anything trying to drop dummy big battle cards on you, as well as doubling as an extra negate when you want that. SS3 Son Goku The Last Straw is, I assume it's just for when you need that self-awakening, like your opponent's not going to just be hitting you over and over, plus it's also good at clearing up unisons, smaller decks that rely on smaller unisons. As well. So, and then we have the Mechikabura in the side for, I guess, extra self-awakening. And he's just a really good card in general, but it seems like he wanted to be closer, a little bit lower to the ground in the main deck, which makes sense in the format as it stands. Celzino is the secret rare of choice, obviously. He's really good. Nothing else to say about that. The new cards are Oceanus Shenron the Animancer, really good dig card. Nova Shenron, really good card to set you up. And Omega Shenron, as well as this Oceanus Shenron, which effectively just replaced the Zarbon, because it does about the same thing there. Alright, Eden Salons, he got top 4 with Mecha Frieza, and this is interesting because it's actually a build using the Meta Cooler Mechanical Contempt Unison that came out with the Frieza. It seems like most people have actually not been on this Unison themselves, but it looks like it worked out for Eden. And this build looks, really solid. It's just a bunch of really good yellow good cards. It's got the Universe 9 Assemble engine, obviously, pretty much a staple of Mecha Frieza. He's got the Bardock Surge of Inspiration. He just has a really big toolbox, it looks like, to work off of Planet Vegeta. Just a bunch of Saiyans he can grab. Vegeta Prideful for when you want that extra backup. You've got, Son Goku, Father and Son, to, get a free blocker out when you switch stuff to rest mode with, like, your Bergamo or your Bardock or whatever. It's just a really big toolbox there. Celzino is the finisher, along with Mira, and Mira can gain double strike off of the Hidden Power Supreme Kai. And he's got that extra little combo with, I believe I saw Swift Retaliation Cooler in here. No, I guess he didn't play any Swift Retaliation Cooler. It was a fairly common one or two of in most of these Mecha Frieza lists. The other spicy card here is Final Spirit Cannon, which came out in Draft Box 4. It was an uncommon. So it's an activate main, choose one of your opponent's cards, switch it to rest mode, or choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode with energy cost 4 or less and KO it. So this is normally a little bit too much to pay for this kind of effect these days, but the fact that the Mecha Frieza makes it 0 cost on the backside makes it a little more appealing. Okay, so he's got the coolers in the side deck here. The Mechikabura is just a really good pick overall for these sorts of metas, especially if they're the ones that let you see your opponent's deck lists after Top Cut. Mechikabura for those slower matchups. Max Power, Dark Power, pretty standard sideboard cards overall here. And he's got the Release from Evil, presumably for like Reboot Gohan and anything else like that. We have Juan Brand, also with Mecha Frieza. This is a list where he opted to go for Vegeta Unison of Fury, which is very good unison in and of its own right. It's got the U9 engine. All of these are going to have the U9 engine. It's too good with Mecha Frieza. It's the thing that kind of makes it go. What's really interesting here is this Violent Rush Bojack. So it has the... you can arrival it off of the Zamasu super combo. Notably, this is the only Mecha Frieza in Top Cut that plays the Zamasu super combo. Everyone else is playing different super combos, like you can see in Eden's list here. He has 4 of the Krillin moments before comeback. Juan also has... so notably, this Violent Rush Bojack can't work with Cell Xeno for Successor because it has to be Mono Green, Mono Yellow, or Green Yellow hybrid, and this is Blue Yellow, but obviously the H's skill is strong, and it's just a big 20k barrier that you can arrival for 1 energy, so that's pretty solid. And he opted for that over the Bojack in the main deck, which can make sense to me. It's an interesting pick for sure. It's definitely some interesting tech that I hadn't seen in this build. Everything else looks pretty standard. He's got Death Ball, which is kind of a card close to my own heart. I plan on playing that in my own Mecha Frieza list, and this helps justify it for me. Mira, it looks like he's got the Mira Kai Swift Retaliation Cooler combo in the side deck too, just for bringing in to get people, probably when he needs a faster win condition, I assume against like Sen Shenron and stuff like that. Extra unisons as well, and then just more interaction in the side, so pretty solid list overall. 4 Vegeta's Final Flash too, seems like a lot, but hey, this must be good. Eddie St. Hilaire, we got our first of many Dark Broly lists. This interesting, all of them were playing this Dark Broly Unbridled Destruction from the Toa deck, the ultimate deck that just dropped. And you'll see it can evolve into a Dark Broly and play. So it's very strong. This is a very straightforward list. There's a lot of 4-ofs. It's got the 1 Kai to help close games. The Brainwash No More, which is really nice because it's a 30k and it can help you not get Victory Striked, which is cool. And just a lot of 30k battle cards and some Overwhelm. And I really like his approach to the side deck too. He's just got 4 different cards in the side deck and they're all maxed. He knows what he wants to solve, and these are going to solve it for him. He's also got a Kraken Space Time, which goes along with the Hidden Power. So this is just a very aggressive, slanted build, it looks like. Then he's got the Haru Haru, which is probably a really good read on the meta, considering how many Mecha Friezas ended up in the top cut. Plus, there were some green decks as well. The Son Goku, a True Fighting Spirit, he's just your Self-Awakener, and it punishes your opponent if they activate a counter skill. So against anything that is trying to just kind of turtle up and stop you from being aggressive, you just get to punish them, and then Dark Power and Secret Identity are just solid picks overall. Interestingly, Mechikabura can also, this is once per turn, add a Dark Dragon Ball from your deck to your hand, so you can also grab your 7-star ball after you do that. So, that's just some free real estate there, too. Jason Scott, scumbagging it up with the Sun Gohan reboot leader. Hey, I can't fault you. It's a best of 3, so he's legal to play. And he's playing the version that I think I like the best as well, which is the blue-green version. I don't like the mono-green as much. I like access. I like having access to these extra spicy blue cards like Hidden Potential and Android 16, A New Start, as well as Senzu Bean, obviously. This is a pretty standard list. He's got his secret rare as the Great Ape, which makes sense because Gohan can't really take advantage of any faster secret rares, and this is just nice little utility. And if the game goes too long, you can use it as a finisher as well. For the Greater Gun, the main deck is an interesting choice, but I'm not a Gohan expert. Hidden Potential is also interesting. We haven't seen this card in a while. I'm assuming it was mostly like anti-Topo tech. It's just anti-Topo and SS2 Trunks and Son Gohan and Vegeta Ready to Rumble, all of those big battle card floodgates, this card stops, and it just lets you continue to play, and it only costs net 1 energy, which is awesome. So, yeah, congrats to him. He's playing the heavy hand control version too with the cells, obviously, the Android 18s, splitting it out with the Defending Father Paragus, and that also means you get to do Son Gohan Goku Power of Legend, not off of Android 18, but you can off of cells, which is nice. Then in the side deck, so you might be confused about these 2 cards in here. He wasn't planning on playing these. He just had the SPRs in his side deck as like a flex or like a meme or whatever. The Piccolo I like because it says I can win on it. So, you can look at that as like your little inspiration card. And then he had the signature Goku in there as well. Just as that little encouragement piece, I guess. His side deck actually looks like for if he wants to go even faster. It looks like he might have a plan to side deck out of blue-green and then side into mono-green and just bring in all of these aggressive Self-Awakening cards and like Hard Arrow of Love and stuff like that, maybe. Or just if he just wants a ton more Self-Awakening in whatever matchup he's in, and he just wants to go dummy fast, that looks like to be the plan here, and then a couple of extra copies of stuff he had in the main. Ryan Severin, another Dark Broly. This one is a lot more teched out than the last one we looked at. He's only got 3 of the 7-star balls, and just a bunch of other 3s and 2-ofs, like he's got the tag team here. He's got the Demon Gra Demigra, which is an incredibly powerful card. It is a 30k, so you can pick it up off your leader. It doesn't hurt your consistency. And then, like the rest of the Dark Broly players, he's actually playing SS4 Goku, a Heartfelt Plea, which is really cool because it works with this new Dark Broly, because it's a 30k red card that you can get out really easily. You know, like swing with it, do whatever you want with it, and then Awaken, kill it, and then you get your Heartfelt out as well. So that's it turns your Awakening turn into, you know, really, really aggressive plays. Just a little bit more tech here. He's not playing Kraken Space Time, and who was the last one? Like Eddie was. And then he's got, you know, it's just a little bit more teched out. That's pretty much the only difference here. Side deck is he's got these SS Bardock, the Tenaciouses, which are, you know, really hard aggro floodgates. So it looks like he was really prepared for, like, blitzy aggro, like Red Broly and stuff like that, which, I mean, naturally going into the event, one of the biggest threats was Red Broly, right? So you've got that. You've got Protector of the People as well. And then these Piccolos, which, not really sure what these were for, but it gives you a little bit of extra grind power, I guess, if you're going into a grindier matchup, so I guess that makes sense. And it pairs a little bit with your Overwhelm cards, because it helps you fill up your drop, I guess. Yeah, and he's got the Kai in the side as the flex secret, I guess. So Craig Meyer, he's got Launch, and he's got Red-Green Launch. This looks a lot like the Kintarsi build we've been seeing floating around. He's got, you know, Trunks helping Blast. It's going to be really leaning on the Piccolo Jr. Eradicator of Peace to get in a ton of early damage. It's effectively like a triple strike, and one of the damage is unblockable. It's absolutely insane. Really high synergy, high aggro builds of Launch. It's really good. It's really cool. I definitely recommend you check it out. It's interesting. He's playing the Supreme Kai as his secret rare, but, you know, it is a card you can leverage even in the early turns of the game, so that's neat. And, yeah, this all looks pretty standard to me. You know, he's got the Bardocks, the Belmonts, all these blitz cards, basically, that you just can just vomit onto the board and just go swing, 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 try and kill your opponent turn 2, turn 3. He's got the side deck. It looks like most of these are for going when he has to be a little slower, you know, if it's like an aggro mirror or whatever, or it's like a you're going against a deck that can kind of out your aggro a little easier. You can go into like the Piccolo Jr. to help grind a little bit, get your card draw going every turn. The Bardock's really good against like Red Broly. You can just warp all their stuff away, you know, or anything that's running out of Big Fatty. You know, Max Power is pretty standard. Same with Secret Identity. Fu for the Dark Broly matchup, obviously. Basically anything that isn't blue, because blue can out this so easily, but it's really good against everything else. Yeah, that's pretty cool list. Definitely proud of Craig for getting there with Launch. One of my wife's favorite leaders to come out recently, and yeah, congrats to him. And we've got Butters running legendary Super Saiyan Son Goku from Theme Booster 3, which is still a very strong deck, obviously. He's playing 60 cards. He's playing this a lot like the Mill Goku from set 10, but he's just using this leader instead, it gives you a little bit more control over your hand, and it mills a little less hard, but it effectively mills you 3 every turn still. You mill 1 from your hand and 2 off the top of your deck. So you get a lot of really good filtering. You don't have the board wipe ability on the back, but it gives you a little bit more aggro because you can gain double strike. Yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff that works out of the drop area. You know, you've got your standard Unison lineup. The Metacooler is awesome, and anything that's running out of the drop, obviously. He's got the Kill Krillins, but he doesn't actually have the Gokus to go with him. It looks like he just wants them as one costs he can put into play, and they, you know, block and draw cards. So that's neat. Big Amor is a cool tech card as well. If you're leader screen, your opponent can't attack with battle cards with energy cost 5 or more until the start of your next main phase. So if you do this on your turn 2, if you do it on the play against Red Broly, it can buy you a whole extra turn, which can, you know, be a lifesaver. Yeah, it's just a green mill mill strategy, and it's, you know, obviously did really well for him. Side deck is just a bunch of more cards of stuff he didn't have room for in the main. It looks like the Vegeta's a really good board wipe. This is something I side in a lot of my green decks as well. For the greater good, even better in those decks, you can mill it. These Zamasu is an interesting one to side. I assume he had a specific matchup in mind for this one. Not really sure what it is, but he's really sticky and hard to deal with, so I'm assuming he had a plan for these in the sideboard, and that's why they're in there. I can't really think of what it is off the top of my head, but I'm assuming if Butters explained it, it would make sense. Congrats to him, and for using such a sweet rogue leader, too. I like it a lot. Justin Rios, he was the only Red Broly player in top 16, which is very interesting, considering this was like kind of the boogeyman going into this event. It just seemed people must have just been prepared for it, or maybe people were expecting everyone to be prepared for it and they were off it, because it seemed like a lot of people were on Red Broly or Dark Broly and Mecha Frieza, both of which can beat this deck quite handily in the hands of a competent pilot. But here's Justin's build. He's running the Piccolo Jr. Unison, obviously. The only real target he has for that is Fearless Pan. But that's fine. Like, you know, you just tutor it out and you get to win really hard if you do that. I think it's not really worth running extra slots dedicated just to doing this. Sip of my water there. A lot of talking in this video. Let's see. So we also have. So he's just got the Broly chain. It's interesting. He's running an Overwhelm, but it's Trunks Time Regulator. It's interesting to run this over Bardock Awakened Instincts. I'm assuming just because it's easier to get to 3 in the drop than 4. I would just assume that's the main reason. Because you lose out on a little bit of... you don't get to set your drop back up, but I guess this deck doesn't really need its drop. And you lose out on 5k attack, but that's about it. So getting this out faster, it would make sense to me. It's interesting he's siding the secret. Justin's a better player than me, so I'm assuming he has a reason for that. It's just... seems weird to me. I guess he just assumes he doesn't need it in every matchup, especially... or maybe he thinks, oh, I don't need this in game 1, because my deck's just really good in game 1, and I could see that potentially being his reasoning as well, where you're like, okay, I'm Red Broly, I'm favored in almost every game 1, so I'll bring this in when they bring in the extra hate for when I like need it, and the games are going to go a little bit later, and I could see that being the case. Piccolo Jr., I assume, is also kind of like sided like it is with the launch deck, where you know, you bring it in against decks that are going to be slowing you down, or, you know, just maybe he just brought it in like almost all the time after game 1 because he assumes there's going to be a bunch of negates on the other side of the board, so he just wants that extra card draw and everything. Yeah, the Koitsukai is like anti-topo, you know, all the floodgates really, just really punishes your opponent, so this is probably something you bring in almost every time against decks that can do that. And he's got some anti-aggro stuff for Aggro Mirror, and the Bardock in the side's interesting too. Maybe he only brought it in against decks he thought would be... I'm not really sure what he has this in the side for, honestly. Maybe he just didn't have room in the main deck, and he figured he'd trim stuff that wasn't like Yamchas or whatever if they're not as good in the matchup, and put in Bardock instead. That might have been what he was thinking there. But yeah, it's a Red Broly deck. It's mostly 4-ofs and some interesting stuff in the side for sure. DeHan with Mecha Frieza. I lied. DeHan has Zamasu in his deck too. I guess I just didn't notice that many. My wife also helped me compile the list, so I might not have seen this list before I did this too. He's also got the... Okay, so DeHan's got the Mechanical Contempt in here too. Interestingly, he's playing the Slug package of Super Namekian and Lord Slug Evil Invader. So this guy can cheat out the Super Namekian for only 2 energy, and it can be paid over 2 turns, and this guy's just really good. I've been splashing him in yellow decks since Draftbox 6 came out, and he's just really solid in a lot of matchups, so that makes sense to me. Goku Absolute Annihilation is an interesting one. It's probably for the Mirror, because the Mirror is, and maybe Invoker too, because those are the main decks that are activating a bunch of extra cards, and I could see this just being an absolute Mirror breaker, because it's Deflect Barrier, so what are you going to do about it, right? This phrase is interesting. I don't even know what this does. Deflect Double Strike Blocker for 5. This card can't be removed from your battle area by opponent's skills. Alright, that already looks really good. If your leader's yellow, when this card's played, choose all your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, KO them, and flip up to 1 card in your life face down at the end of turns. Switch this card to active mode. Activate once per turn. When your opponent activates a counter-attack skill, choose 2 of their cards. Switch them into rest mode, and they can't be switched to active mode. Okay. Well, that's just a really big bomb, and it's really generic, too. I mean, it's 5 yellow, so it's really generic for any yellow deck. That seems like a really good card in any matchup where you can see it go in a couple of extra turns there, and then Celzino is the finisher. Interesting, he has one Son Gohan changing history. He must have it as a tutor target for... He has it as a tutor target for Planet Vegeta, because the Chi-Chi isn't a Saiyan, obviously, but you can tutor up that. Side deck has a whole bunch of one-ups. He just looks like he's wanting to do, like, the minor adjustments, kind of like a lot of Magic players do, to just make small adjustments between siding a lot of the time, not bring in a bunch of stuff for one matchup, but just, like, have a bunch of one-ups that are applicable in a bunch of different matchups, which, is a cool way to side. I side like that sometimes. As coming from a Magic background, that's a thing Magic players do a lot. Yeah, this all looks pretty standard, though. The Vegeta's an interesting one, because you can tutor it off of Planet Vegeta, and it can help get rid of lots of really annoying things that have barrier. I'm assuming it's for, like, the mirror for, like, Lord Slugs and stuff, mostly. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff that could be in rest mode with barrier that you just want to get rid of, and you can do that. Alright, and here's Marquise's list. I might have gotten his last name spelled wrong. I'm not really sure. It was really hard to read on some of these PDFs, so I apologize if you're watching this and I butchered your name completely on these deck lists. Here's another Mecha Frieza. He's running Vegeta as his Unison. Interesting, he has the Great Ape Bardock Might of the Resistance. It's another Planet Vegeta target. It does restrict you a lot on what you can play, so that's an interesting choice for sure. He's got Zamasu too as his super combo. I guess I probably looked at like 1 or 2 Mecha Frieza lists from here, and I was like, oh, no one's playing Zamasu, but it was just like those 2 specifically. But he's got the Gohan as a tutor target for Planet Vegeta. Whistled Melody's a cool one. It's really good to bring in against like hand control and stuff that lets you pitch cards. Because you're like, okay, pitch this, and then I can just cycle it and draw 1. Really cool. West Kai, looks like this would be for the mirror, because the mirror is the main thing that's going to be doing stuff from the combo area, like to return Raider's Warcry and stuff like that to the hand. And that would make sense to prepare for the mirror. This is one of the most hyped up decks, and it was the second most played deck in the top 16 with 5 copies, so hey, that was a good call there. Champa for going a little faster when you want to be a little bit more aggro-y, and I guess also if you're running the risk of going to time, you can bring this in to help kind of like cheese out the timer, and that makes sense too. Getting to the end here, we got Cross-World TCG's Joey Palladino, the man himself, and we've got another Dark Broly list. He's also running Heartfelt Plea and the new Dark Broly Unbridled Destruction. Very cool package. He's got Mira as well to help, you know, get the Mira Champa combo going for that extra pressure. Very aggressive. I'm assuming this is going to be trying to be very aggressive on its Awaken turn if it opens Heartfelt, and then the Mira can help push through as well. Rest of this looks pretty standard. He's got 1 Protector of the People in the main, and yeah, it's a Dark Broly deck. He's got the Bardock as well as a Floodgate, and he's citing the secret Supreme Card of Time as well. Arnaldo Pagan, also on Dark Broly, and it's nothing too special. He's not running the 7 cost at all. I think this is the first one we've seen that isn't running the new 7 cost, and thus also not playing the Heartfelt Plea. It looks like he's siding to be a little bit more aggressive with the a Kraken Spacetime and Haru-Harus and stuff like that. And then lastly, we have Dillon Max Dark Broly, and he is running the Heartfelt Plea, Dark Broly Unbridled Destruction and combo. And he's kind of a baller because he's playing only 2 7-star balls, which is like really risky to me, but maybe he was planning because he's got like the Mechikabras. He's like, I can tutor it up if I really need it. Like, I have a lot of tutors for it, but it's still like kind of risky to me to only play 2, because what if you end up with both of them in your life? He could have a really bad time, but it looks like that didn't happen to him too much because he did get top 16. All right, so that's your PPG Miami deck breakdown. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, guys. I know that must have been a long one. It was just a lot of me talking and just reading cards and going over them. I know I lost my breath a couple of times, but thanks for checking us out, guys. Let us know in the comment section if this is something you'd like to see us do more of. This is the first time I've done one of these kinds of videos. it was interesting for sure. It was a lot of work to try and get all these put into the Shenron's layer, but I didn't want to have to read off the PDF because I knew I wouldn't be able to read everyone's handwriting. But yeah, just let us know if this is something you want to see more of in the comment section or not. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That really helps us out a lot, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.